Hello to my beautiful family of light. Well, I had a disastrous beginning. This is not a great start to my live stream this time. I, followed all of YouTube's instructions for doing panorama instead of the straight up and down, because you get those goofy little, you can't stretch those out, those goofy little wings on either side that block off all of this stuff. So I just abandoned that. It's been, 15 minutes of me messing with that, trying to get it right. I hope that you'll stay with me and look for this. I'm gonna find a way to make everything work, and I'm very limited for equipment, so just have to roll with what I've gotten at this moment. I'm just going to do a video for this day. I was hoping to do a live stream, but I haven't been happy with how those have turned out in terms of you can see me and hear me, but the interaction is very poor. I can't see your comments and notes and stuff. So please leave me some comments. Welcome to my channel. My name is Claudia, and this is Christmas Eve Day. I'm happy to have you here. Normally, I am alone on Christmas. Well, through the years, it's been off and on, but I'm living in a place where I am by myself. I have a couple of friends here, and I'll be joining them this weekend to share a meal and, a little of the spirit of the season and tell stories and all the things you love to do around the fire. But I want to know if you're alone this Christmas. Let me know, because I have stories and I want to hear yours. More than anything, I want to know that you're okay, and that you're divinely loved and guided, that you're a wonderful soul having this human experience. And so to begin this day, I want to start with, I've got all kinds of things today. I have a recipe to share with you. I've got a tarot if we want to do a little bit of that. I've got a few health tips for you. And because I'm a body, mind, and spirit gal. And for me, it starts with spirit. You have to have a healthy, happy, joyful relationship with your creator. Now you create that inside, and believe me, when I started my soul's journey, I only had, what do I want to call it, the knowledge, I guess. Somebody says you have a soul, and that, okay, but beyond that, getting to know my creator and the soul that is here because I'm his child, and that my soul is connected with my creator. So getting to have that knowledge that leaves the part of you that has just the words and no concept of really what they mean. I grew up like that, wondering, what did that really mean? And then along the way, I began having experiences, and those experiences have led me to an absolute knowing from the inside here, the seat of my soul. And I translate up here, and believe me, it argued with me forever. I've had years of this saying, you don't know what you're talking about, And finally I just said, no, you're a little confused. I know what I'm talking about. And I hope that you get to that point too, that you have a wonderful, healthy relationship with our creator, and that it lends new meaning to this season of joy, to the rebirth of the spirit within us, the Christed self that is us, that is a part of our creator. So that's how I roll. Anyhow, that may not suit you, but I hope you'll stick with me, just because we can have a little fun today, and maybe I'll say something that will be planting a seed for you. My first Christmas that I remember being alone, I was 20, about 20. And that was, just my saddest day. I had to work. I was newly appointed to a management position in a town outside of where I was from, and my family was elsewhere, and I had to work. And in fact, I had to work a split shift, and so I really couldn't go anywhere. And so I remember sitting in my little rocking chair, looking at my Charlie Brown tree. I think back in those days they were made of either silver or white kind of tinsely material. And I think I had probably gone to Walmart and bought a little package of colored balls and a string of lights for under $10, you know, to have some decorations. And I started to cry. I was thinking back on all the wonderful, joyful, chaotic Christmases that I had growing up, because I'm from a family of 10 people. Now, since that time, that was early time, right? Two more siblings have joined the pack, and lots and lots of everybody's children and grandchildren, you know, great grandchildren, and I'm a grandmother. Well, anyhow, I was crying. I started to cry, and tears were just streaming down my face, and, you know, thinking about what a sorrowful picture I was all alone, and, you know, no feast around the table, not all that joy of kids and their new presents, and mom cooking and all the smells coming from the kitchen, all the extended family, the aunts and uncles that came. I'm from a large Italian family, and it wasn't unusual for us to have anywhere from 35 to 60 people at a holiday. So here I am all by myself. This was really foreign territory, crying like crazy. And all of a sudden, I'll never forget this, I felt hands on my shoulders, and I remember looking up like this, and I could see my grandfather. And my grandfather on my mother's side died when I was 11, and he had come to comfort me. And the peace and just settled over me. And I realized, of course, later that, you know, that was a pretty wonderful thing that happened to me. So I ended up, that calmed me. And in fact, it soothed me through the rest of that holiday. And working helps, because then you're occupied and your time is taken. And I think I probably, when I had a day off, bolted up and saw my mom or whoever in the family was around. So that was my first Christmas. Since then, I'm in my 70s, and I have had, I would say, easily a third, if not more, towards half of my Christmases alone. And some of that has been by my own choosing. A couple of things. I had a pretty chaotic life. I'm going to call it that. In fact, I had a counselor who said to me one time, she said, "What are you going to do when all the chaos in your life is gone away?" And I didn't know how to answer. I've never been without it. But anyhow, and it's easier because I love to sing carols, and I usually clean my house with even the vacuum cleaner going, with the music turned up and me, you know, bopping around, taking care of things. I love to bake, and I really do enjoy people a lot, and I would share a lot of what I canned and made and those sort of things. And so, you know, that Christmas with Grandpa stayed with me every Christmas. From then on, it was because that sad feeling that I was alone, that sad feeling would start to come and almost overcome me. And then what do you do, right? What do you do? You can't help it but to feel, and interesting, that same peace. I remembered the peace, and that peace would wash over me and I would be fine. So I want to read you a little something, because you know me and the spiritual nature of my roots and where I've been, where I've come from, and where I am, is that I had to heal my life. And I'm still working on it. Interestingly enough, even in my 70s, stuff pops up and I think, where did that come from? Aren't I over with this? Or that sadness, there's some kind of sadness will come in. And then if I stay with it, now this is the trick, if I stay with whatever feeling is coming up, then a memory comes with it. And some of them are from long, long ago, and some of them are more recent. Anyhow, in healing my life, I had one book that came into my life in the late 70s, like 77 or 78, and it's a book called You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. This book I read over and over again. There were times when I couldn't read it. It was like too difficult or too painful for me to even think about some of the things. But for years. And at some point after I really had understood that, and that wasn't until, so let's see, 72 is when I moved and had my first job out of town. And so it was like, when would I say that would be in the 80s? No, it would have been in the 90s when I was getting clearer about my spiritual nature. So sometimes in the early 90s, I began to understand more of what I'd read, more of what I had done, and some of those things just got real clear. We have paths to choose in life. You can go left, you can go right, you can go straight ahead, and you can go back and go repeat whatever you've done. And believe me, I have done that a number of times. Once you've done it once and you're back in it again, you're kind of like, wait a minute, how did this happen? And you have to experience it in order to understand whether you want to experience it again or not. Once you change your mind that you really don't want to go back there, then you have to start walking forward and not going backwards, going left and right. I mean, you can go any direction, and the path is going to tell you that you're on, whether you're headed in the wrong direction or not. That's what this feeling part of us is all about. You know, what am I feeling? So anyhow, I memorized this from this book, You Can Heal Your Life, and it has stayed with me my whole life. It is in the infinity of life, where I am healthy, whole, and complete, just as I am. And that is something, you can go back and replay this. It is something that has stayed with me, and whenever I get stuck or feel like I'm, repeating or whatever, I go back and repeat that, because it gets me into a place where you're out of the feeling of being stuck. When you get out of that feeling, then you're free to move forward. The other thing I wanted to talk about today is, because I've mentioned before that we are there's three parts to any healing, to any aspect of your being. If you're wanting to manifest and make something come about, some more money, a better job, you need a better relationship, and you maybe don't have the courage to let go of what you're hanging on to, and that's holding you stuck. So there are three things that are involved. And this became so solid for me in the late 90s. We're looking at close to 30 years now. That spirit is the life. You have to have a strong spiritual connection with your Creator. You have to trust in that. I remember, I have so many stories. I don't want to get started on that right now. When you don't trust that you have guidance, when you don't trust that you really are a child of your God, your source, our creator, whether it's Yahweh, Buddha, or Mohammed. It matters not where you are in the world. God is a piece of every human. We are here at the will of our Father, and we can only live a life that he, she, it set about for us when we have a will to be in alignment with that creative force. A creator, think about that. Creation, creator. We are not, when we're not accessing that in our lives, then we're denying ourselves our birthright to have a wonderful life. And that's what this says. I am healthy, whole, and complete right where I am. And so I finally stopped judging myself. It also led me to stop judging others and to be at peace with who I am, where I am, and what I am. But since I have a pretty good relationship with my creator, I've always been exceptionally healthy. In fact, until I was required to have a physical for school and a couple of other things that I've done over time, I didn't have a doctor. And so I've gone, this is 30 some years. In fact, 1990 was the first time I recall there was, where I was working, had a freeze on wages, a freeze on our tax sheltered annuity, and the insurance rates went up. Now, I'm not an advocate of insurance rates, and I'm not an advocate of health insurance. Health insurance, in my opinion, has taken over reasonable thought in humanity. We have an inner guidance system, and that's what I've always relied on. Once I tapped into it and understood it was there. So that's been over 30 years now. Anyhow, and so, all this is coming about. I'm losing wages, the increase that we were supposed to have. I'm losing part of the where that money was going to go into the savings, and now the insurance rates have gone up. So I did a couple of things, but the most significant thing that I did was I went to where I was working to I'll say human resources. At the time it was something else, named something else. And I said, would it be possible for you to put the money I would be putting into health insurance into the tax sheltered annuity? And when everything changes again, I'll come back and visit with you, but really just do that. I want my savings continued. They said, sure. So that's what I did. And I worked there for 4 years. Well, you can imagine when you're putting 2 or 3 or whatever it was at the time, I think it was going up to almost $400 a month because my son was on it. And I had his dad put him on his, so I didn't have to carry that. But you can imagine after 4 years what a nice little savings account you would have going there. And I used that to go to school then when I moved on. But those kinds of things come from in here. So what's the first thing that happens? The universe says, so you think you want to discontinue your insurance, huh? And I had that, kept thinking about it for a few days, knowing that I you have to pay out of pocket anyhow to meet a deductible. I always paid to get my teeth cleaned, and I always had my physical checkup and paid out of pocket for that. So I just thought, Claudia, you take care of yourself, and as long as the money's there that you can, if something comes up, you'll be fine. And so I said, you I had set all that up anyhow. So that very afternoon that I had made up my mind, I fell on the stairs, and I lived in an old place, and they had one of those latches that went like this into, something that at the window, and put a puncture all the way through to the bone on my arm. And I said, oh, so that's how it's going to be. This is the universe testing you. Are you sure? And I said to myself at that time, Claudia, you have to be sure. And I have always believed that if you follow that guidance, and they're not giving me one way or the other, they're asking me, because I'm the master of my ship. And so I drove myself down to the ER, sat there for 4 hours while whatever they were doing. And when they saw me, they said, oh, a puncture. Poured a little sulfur in there, put a butterfly clip on it, charged me $100 and sent me out back home. And I said, yeah, you're gonna be okay. I'm a sensible, reasonable person, but I've lived like that, medical insurance free for that entire time. So I'm not suggesting you go out and do that. There are very few of me that have that much trust in our Creator that I'm going to be taken care of no matter what. It doesn't matter. I've always believed I'm going to have a roof and a meal no matter what. And believe me, you wouldn't believe where I'm at right now, and I don't have a permanent home. In fact, I gave up that. I gave up most of my belongings, and I'm here with a couple of suitcases. And from here, when this little gig is done, I will say, well, I wonder what's next, and I will be presented with it. So I'm being taken care of, and so are you, but I trust it, and that's a distinction I want to make. Now, so that's the spirit part of it, right? Mind is the builder. We've talked, I have a whole video on what you think to yourself, what you say to yourself, and what you say to others is what you're going to create. So you need to become consciously aware of the language and the words that you use. You're going to find that I'm an extremely positive person because I do believe that I'm taken care of. I have a lot of reasons for having that be as solid as it is, and you can go back and look. I have 140 videos or something like that sitting out there that you can go take a look at on almost any topic, relationships and money, and relationships are not only to yourself, but to your home, your work, your garden, your significant other, your spouse, your children, relationships to the earth and to the other people on it. Relationships cover a really broad, term in language speak. So the one of the things that I always loved about this book, once I discovered it and understood it, we're back to it, that's You Can Heal Your Life, is at the back of this book. There is an entire list of things that you're experiencing, whether it is regarding accidents, or acne or AIDS or allergies. I've had allergies. I am very healthy, but I've had lung problems. And can you imagine? Now, I want you to think about this for a minute. When I ended up with triple pneumonia. This came after the death of my father. Sorry. He was my rock of Gibraltar. I got along with my mom beautifully, but in a lot of ways, at times, she was like a child to me. My dad was just a very wonderful, remarkable, happy man. And after he died, and I felt like I didn't have anybody else that I could lean on for certain things. I did not share a lot with him, but he and I shared a lot in common. He had 6 sons, my brothers, and nobody would fly with him. I mean, they all like to fly with him, but I learned to fly so I could fly with him. So I was a pilot at the age of 15 and a half, those kinds of things. Anyhow, I got pneumonia, and there was this little series of events that happened in which he died. I had betrayals, not just one, but several. And all of a sudden, I had pneumonia. And the pneumonia was both lungs and then the pericardium around the heart. Well, what happens when you can't breathe anymore? And that's exactly what was happening. I think I was trying to jump ship. I didn't want to be here anymore. Now, you think that it's something else. Really, I know exactly what happened. And so I'm laying in bed, and I'm not, I'm not being, I'm not recovering at all. And there's not much more that can be done for me. And my guidance takes me by the hand and takes me to this little meadows on both sides of a fence, and I'm sitting on the fence. Listen to the words. This is why I want you to always get behind something, right? So that you can figure out what's going on there. I was sitting on the fence, and they said to me, "It's okay if you want to go now. You've done what you came here to do and more." And so, yeah, it's up to you. It's up to you if you don't want to stay. And they left me there on the fence. And the next day I hopped off the fence, and then I just kind of wandered along I did that for 5 days. Stood close to that fence. I wasn't sure I wanted to leave it. I wasn't sure I wanted to pass and go leave, at that time. And so I'm here. So, but can you hear the words? You quit breathing and you're done. There's no life after that. And having trouble breathing, I was in that decision-making time of, do you stay or do you go? You didn't realize you have it in your own hands to choose your passage, did you? Well, you do. We all do. So, and if we look at accidents, so in Louise Hay's book, this book at the back, there's a problem. If you're having a problem in your life, there's a probable cause, and the probable cause is thoughts. And the probable solution, or you have to have a new thought pattern to get out of the one you're in. So if we look at accidents, and this may be new to you, but for me, something else. Inability, if you have an accident, it's an inability to speak up for yourself. And it's rebellious against authority, belief in violence. And if you go back and look at my videos from age 3.5 up through 20, a little bit beyond that, 22 really, I had all kinds of accidents. I had cancer. I've had cancer twice. I had my right leg crushed. I had a broken pelvis. I've had, so much stuff I can't even begin to tell you. It is not about that. So when I speak to you in some of those videos, that it's not about my story or your story, it's what is behind it. What are you thinking? Where are you coming from? And once you can connect with that, you can affect change in your own life. And because I believe God is taking care of me, He's the one that steers. It's unseen forces, I'm going to call it. They're the ones that wrap their arms around you and say, here, let me just kind of point you in that direction over there. You don't want to be going that way. You want this direction. So, I make light of it because we're here. We are here to experience life. And so many of us take it so serious. I sure did, and I still do a lot of times, and I have to pull myself out of that. But you know, it's important. So this is the spirit talking, right? And now how do you get out of it and move into something else? So let's talk a little bit about health. And my health philosophy is, when you get connected with your inner guidance system, it will lead you to what you need, whether it's a supplement, to go see the doctor. Those are real things. In fact, I'm a fan of the readings of Edgar Cayce. They're just fascinating. But you know, somebody who was trying to heal themselves for something said, you have to go get that cut out. It's too far advanced for you to fix it, for us to help you fix it. And so, but I've relied on those readings ever since I ran across them. And so what I do is I have an alkaline diet. I have, well, I'm not very good at it sometimes, but it's all about having a plate of food, right? A plate, and that you segment that into 5 segments. And on those segments, you have 80%. So you got 20, 20, 20, 20, 20. That's 100%. If you take 3 of those and make them alkalizing foods. Now that's going to be fruits, nuts, vegetables, and there are some that are non-alkalizing, but if you will go, you can go to the Association for Research and Enlightenment. In fact, I'll put a link to that, and look up an alkalizing diet. So it has to be 80% of foods that are alkaline, and 20%, that's 2%, 20, 40%, 20%, I say 80%, I did this wrong, of foods that are alkalizing, and 20% of foods that are acid forming. So if you can imagine your battery in your car has acid in it, the battery isn't going to go anywhere without that, or the car isn't going to get started without some acid in it. It has to create a charge, and we are electrical beings. We have to have a certain balance. The balance is 7.365 alkaline as opposed to acid, and 7 is neutral. So that's, and you want to be slightly over that. There's a wonderful Dr. Robert Young has a book called Sick and Tired, which I just love, and I don't have that with me. But so I try to eat mostly alkalizing foods. And I've been, you know, out of sync. I stay away from supplements as much as I can, but these are times of ascension of the body, of the Christ infusing more of that energy of God within us. And so I take extra zinc, extra magnesium. Oh, and there's something else, and I can't remember what it is now. And then I leave off on the weekends. I don't take any supplements at all, because if you give a daily supplement to your body, it will cease because it's lazy. It will cease trying to extract it from your foods. And so I think, you know, our food source isn't the healthiest thing we've ever had these days. So it's important that you get probably some supplementation. And if you learn to check with your own inner guidance system, which is what I do when I'm feeling something's going off, you know, then I just start doing muscle testing. There's lots of ways of finding out what it is you need. So you know, if you want me to cover that sometime, I will. But this is a good time for I do take a supplement, and I'm not advertising this. I'm just showing you so that you can understand that I do take something. It's a super green, and I just love. This is Dr. Robert Young, who I just love. It's his particular product, and so it's a alkalizing tablet. around this time of the year, who isn't eating, extra sweets and visiting, and having coffee and more? The diet has a tendency to be more acidic than is going to be alkaline. And if you can relate to a fish tank, the pH of the water within the fish tank has to be just so, or the fish will get sick. And so that's, your inner environment is a reflection of what's, out here. And so in my, as I'm going to start my 74th year in a couple months, so I guess I'm not doing too badly. What else? Also this time of year, we're indoors a lot. Now I do something, I'm going to cross out the name, but it's an energy multiplier, and basically what it is electrolytes. So adding electrolytes this time of year, because we're not out in the sun, we're not active, we're not eating all the fruits and vegetables and all the things that give us the charge that we need. So an alkalizing diet, first of all, a mind that is focused on that I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be sitting in front of you and enjoying this Christmas Eve day. And that's the source of, I'm alive because of that. And all of the things that our Creator provides to us, right? And so my mind is filled throughout the day with gratitude and joy, and if I'm going in the other direction, I realize it fairly quickly now that I'm getting older, but I really struggled with it in my earlier years, and I don't doubt that we all do periodically. There's stuff going on the planet that's totally, this place is upside down, inside out, and chaos at times. And so, putting my mind on, when I look at the skies and I see things up there that aren't supposed to be there, I just say, there is a God that loves all of us, this planet. I love you. And, I don't lose sight of the fact that if you're angry about something, and if you're frustrated and resentful, and, somebody betrayed me, well, I was mad about that for a long time. And then I said, put love around them. When you're angry, you're throwing gasoline on the fire that you're trying to put out, that you're just keeping it going. That's you going backwards all the time. Anytime you bring up something that's in the past that wasn't so hot, that you haven't overcome yet, you're throwing gasoline on it. So don't do that. Anyhow, and then the last thing I want to say is a lot of people are using antibacterial stuff. I don't know if you know what hydrogen, and this is just, I'll get rid of that part of it there. This is 3% hydrogen peroxide solution. It will eat away bacteria like nobody's business, and it costs, this little thing cost $1. That's because I wanted the squeeze. I wanted this, and I have bottles of it. It's it'll eat up bacteria. It will help clean up. You don't have to buy those expensive cleaners. You can, I'm not saying not to, but even bleach, use it sparingly, don't use a lot of it. So anyhow, that's my health tips. So you've gotten a little bit of body, mind, and spirit today. Spirit is the life, mind is the builder, and physical is the result. And it's Christmas Eve. I wish you a beautiful, loving holiday infused with the spirit of the reason for the season, which is the creativity of our Christed selves, our God self. And like I say, it doesn't matter where on this planet you are. It is an energy. You're a frequency, and you're trying to match that divine frequency. And when you do, the divine enters into us, into the spirit, and we become expressions of God here on earth. So that's loving, caring, compassionate, kind, harmonious, all of the different things that you know how joyful kids are. They're just living examples of what we're supposed to be, what we're meant to be. So thank you for joining me. Have a beautiful holiday. Stay loving. Embrace all of humanity. We're all here with a God gene in us that just wants to be active, and embrace this planet. Our Gaia is trying so hard to keep giving us water, food, and all those things that are being contaminated by forces that are greedy. I'm just going to say it like that. And I don't need to spend any time on that because, you know, God loves us all, and it's up to us to stop throwing gasoline on the fire, embrace that we are love of all of it. I believe that everything that's going on today is so that we will make a decision or a choice. And I've got a little spider there. Hi, what are you doing here? Okay, so that's it for today. I'm sorry the live thing just didn't work. Apparently I'm not cut out for that, but I want you to know I love you. I love you so much. You know that my love goes out to you in so many ways, and I hope that you can feel that energy when I say the word love, and that I will see you in the next video. When you like and subscribe, then you help me and this channel to grow. It goes out to more people, and you become a co-creator with me when that happens. The good word goes out there exponentially, and I appreciate it more than you know. Share it with your friends and have a wonderful Christmas. I'm going to do the same thing tomorrow. And next Sunday, so a week from here, New Year's Eve day, so that Sunday, I will be reading my favorite Christmas story and putting that on as a video. I think unless I can really practice this live stuff and get it figured out, I just can't do it anymore. It's too frustrating for me. So I wish somebody with technological experience could get a hold of me and help me figure it out. I love you. Thank you for joining me. I will see you in the next video.